Welcome back to our channel. Today is a wonderfully chaotic Tuesday, and we have a mountain of drama to unpack. We're diving deep into the tangled web of our favorite Fairmont Crest residents, and believe me, tensions are running higher than ever. Okay, I've been thinking about this and, wait, let me back up for a second. This is what's been bothering me. The entire dynamic between Andre, Dani, and now this sudden reappearance of Heather is just screaming massive. Neon red flags. Basically, I'm trying to figure out if Andre actually loved Heather back in Paris, or if their relationship was, way more serious and profound than Dani even slightly comprehends right now. I mean, we all knew Andre had a life before Dani, but the way Heather is moving, it feels like this wasn't just some casual European fling. Actually, no, I should have mentioned that earlier. The Paris connection is the absolute crux of this entire psychological mess. What really happened in those cobblestone streets? Was it a deep, soul-binding connection that Andre is now desperately trying to bury beneath a facade of a perfect new life? Heather has basically implied, or rather heavily suggested, that Andre promised to come back to her. She claims he made this grand, romantic vow to return and then just vanished into thin air without a single word of explanation. Who actually does that? Who leaves someone they supposedly love without a goodbye, unless... Wait, maybe he didn't just leave because he fell out of love or got bored. What if he was actively running? Okay, wait a minute. Let me say that again. What if Andre abandoned Heather in Paris not to start a fresh, innocent new life, but because he was fleeing an incredibly dangerous secret? This completely changes the entire psychological profile of his character. If he was running from some underground syndicate, or massive financial ruin, or maybe even a crime he committed, leaving Heather behind might have been a twisted, messed up way of protecting her. Or maybe not. I don't know. Maybe he's just a coward who couldn't face the emotional heavy lifting of breaking up with her properly. But that doesn't explain why he has literally never breathed a single word about Heather to Dani, not a whisper. Why hasn't he told Dani that Heather was a massive part of his past? I mean, not exactly a massive part, but something like that. It is so strange, really strange. The whole thing is strange. When you are deeply, unconditionally in love with someone, like Andre supposedly is with Dani, you share your past. You lay your messy, complicated cards on the table. The fact that he actively chose to omit Heather's entire existence is a glaring, terrifying omission. It's a lie by omission, which is sometimes worse than a direct lie. He is trying to curate this flawless, perfect image of himself for Dani, completely erasing the unresolved, toxic baggage from his time in France. He wants Dani to see him as this unblemished hero, but the reality is he is standing on a very fragile foundation of hidden history. And then, of course, there is Heather. Why is she so intensely, obsessively fixated on Andre after all this time? It has been years, right? Or months. Whatever the exact timeline is, she has held onto this ghost of a relationship with a terrifying, white-knuckle grip. The psychology of abandonment is complex. Basically, when someone disappears without closure, the person left behind can entirely fixate on the unfinished business. Heather didn't get a goodbye. She got a void, and she has filled that massive void with this obsessive, looping fantasy that Andre still belongs to her. It's like cognitive dissonance. She cannot physically accept that he moved on, so she has completely convinced herself that his departure was a temporary mistake that she desperately needs to rectify. Did she really just stumble upon him at Fairmont Crest? No, absolutely not. I refuse to believe that was a random coincidence. She secretly tracked him down. She must have followed his digital footprint, or hired a private investigator, or just relentlessly stalked him across the globe to Fairmont Crest with the sole, burning intention of winning him back. What am I saying? Oh right, she is on a militant mission. But her mission hit a massive, impenetrable brick wall when she realized that Andre isn't just sitting around in a dark room missing her. He is profoundly, deeply, and visibly in love with Dani. When Heather realized the actual depth of Andre's feelings for Dani, everything in her brain must have shifted. Dani is no longer just a random, temporary new girlfriend. She is the ultimate, infuriating obstacle. She is the living, breathing, physical manifestation of Andre moving on and being happy without her. Heather must look at Dani and see everything she was unfairly denied. The anger, the visceral, boiling, acidic jealousy that must be churning inside Heather's stomach is genuinely terrifying to think about. She doesn't just want Andre back anymore. She wants to completely obliterate the beautiful life he built without her. She views Dani as an interloper, a knife thief who stole the happy ending that was explicitly promised to her back in Paris. So, what is Heather going to do to destroy this love from the inside out? She is highly intelligent. She isn't going to just throw a loud, messy tantrum in the middle of a restaurant. She is engaging in high-level psychological warfare. She chose the exact, specific moment Andre was out of town to make her calculated move on Dani. Timing is literally everything in this secret war. Why approach Dani when Andre is absent? Because Andre would immediately intercept. Andre would control the narrative, spin the story, and protect Dani. By isolating Dani, Heather ensures that she is the sole, uncontested narrator of the past. She gets to plant these toxic seeds of doubt directly into Dani's vulnerable mind without Andre there to run frantic damage control. It is a brilliant, albeit incredibly toxic and manipulative, tactical maneuver. Okay, I know I just said the opposite, but listen to me. Maybe Heather isn't entirely the cartoon villain here. What if the shocking secret she revealed to Dani is actually something Dani desperately needed to know for her own safety? What could this earth-shattering secret possibly be? Did Andre commit a violent crime in Paris? Was he previously legally married to Heather and never got a divorce? Did they have a child together that he coldly abandoned to start over? Or maybe it was some massive, devastating financial con that ruined people's lives. Whatever it is, it has to be catastrophic enough to make Dani question her entire reality and her own judgment. Heather didn't just drop a subtle hint. She dropped a nuclear bomb on Dani's perception of the man she sleeps next to every night. How is Dani going to react to this absolute nightmare? I mean, she has to be completely devastated, right? Realizing that the man you love with your whole heart has hidden a massive, life-altering truth from you since day one of the relationship is a fundamental, core-shaking betrayal. It shatters the foundational trust that holds a couple together. Dani is going to be mentally spinning. Her brain will be doing exhausting gymnastics trying to reconcile the sweet, loving, protective Andre she knows with the deceptive, secretive, potentially dangerous Andre that Heather is so vividly describing. It is a total identity crisis for their relationship. But Heather wouldn't just expect Dani to take her word for it, would she? She must have brought undeniable proof. I bet she produced a physical photograph of them looking incredibly intimate, maybe standing in front of the Eiffel Tower or in some cozy Parisian cafe, or maybe a handwritten, tear-stained letter from Andre where he explicitly, undeniably promises to love her forever and return to her. Tangible evidence, a physical artifact from Paris that Dani cannot simply brush off as a crazy, jealous ex's delusion. Seeing Andre's familiar handwriting making promises to another woman, or seeing the raw, unfiltered emotion in a photograph, would be the undeniable nail in the coffin for Dani's peace of mind. But here is the real kicker. Is Heather telling the complete, unvarnished truth? Or maybe not, I don't know. I honestly feel like she is masterfully mixing absolute facts with subtle, manipulative lies. It's the most effective, insidious form of gaslighting. She presents the undeniable truth. Yes, they were together in Paris. Yes, he left suddenly. Here is the photo to prove it, but she twists the emotional context and the timeline to make Andre look as malicious, calculating, and deceitful as humanly possible. She is weaponizing the truth to maximize the collateral damage. She wants Johnny to feel so deeply insecure, so overwhelmingly paranoid, that Dani ends up doing the dirty work of destroying the relationship herself from the inside. So now Dani is trapped in this horrific, suffocating internal conflict. How does she even begin to process this? Does she try to rationally categorize it as just the past? Like, okay, he had a messy life before me. Everyone has baggage. I need to let it go. Or does she view the deliberate concealment itself as the ultimate betrayal? It isn't necessarily about what he actually did in Paris. It is about the terrifying fact that he looked her in the eyes every single day, told her he loved her, and actively chose to lie by omission. That conscious, daily choice to deceive is what will endlessly haunt Dani. She will constantly wonder if he could seamlessly hide something this massive and important. What else is he capable of hiding right now? And let's circle back to Andre for a second, because his motivations are driving me crazy. Why did he hide it? Was it pure, selfish self-preservation? Did he know that if he told Dani about the messy, unresolved, potentially dangerous Paris situation, she might run for the hills? Or was he genuinely, in his own twisted way, trying to protect Dani from the darkness of his past? Sometimes people bury their trauma deeply because they want to be the absolute best, most unburdened version of themselves for their new partner. But that doesn't explain why he didn't immediately come clean the exact moment he realized Heather might be a looming threat. He played a highly dangerous game of Russian roulette with Dani's heart, and now the chamber is fully loaded, and Heather just pulled the trigger with a smile on her face. I can't even begin to imagine the absolute, apocalyptic explosion that is going to happen when Andre finally returns from his trip. He is going to walk through his front door, drop his bags, and step into a war zone that he didn't even know was being violently fought in his absence. Dani is going to be a completely different person, guarded, highly suspicious, deeply wounded, and radiating a cold fury. And Andre is going to realize in a split second that his meticulously constructed, beautiful house of cards has completely, irreversibly collapsed around him. The anger that will erupt between them won't just be loud, screaming anger. It will be that quiet, terrifying, seething anger. The kind of anger where every single word spoken is a calculated, surgical strike aimed at the most vulnerable, unprotected parts of the other person's soul. Will Heather actually win this twisted game? Basically, she has already won the first major battle. She successfully infiltrated their sacred, safe space and planted the explosive device. Even if Andre somehow manages to explain himself, even if he begs and pleads and tells the absolute truth, the pure innocence of his relationship with Dani is completely dead. It is gone forever, buried under the weight of Heather's revelations. The dark, heavy shadow of Paris will always be looming over them in the corners of their home. Every single time Andre's phone rings late at night, every time he is slightly late coming home from work, Dani is going to feel that cold, sharp spike of doubt in her chest. Heather has successfully infected their beautiful love story with a terminal, rotting disease of mistrust. Wait, what if there is an even deeper, more convoluted layer to this entire mess? What if Andre didn't just casually leave Heather, but he was violently forced to leave? What if there is a shadowy third party involved that we don't even know about yet? Someone who physically threatened Andre, forcing him to abandon his entire life and identity in Paris just to keep Heather safe from harm. If that is actually the case, Andre is a tragic, misunderstood hero, not a deceptive villain. But Heather wouldn't know that, would she? She would just feel the agonizing sting of rejection and abandonment. Oh man, my brain is jumping all over the place right now. The possibilities are endlessly frustrating and completely intoxicating at the same time. Maybe it doesn't matter, but I notice the way Andre always physically tenses up whenever Europe is mentioned. It's not just casual avoidance, it's a deeply ingrained, visceral trauma response. Anyway, the main point is, wait, what's the main point? The main point is that this brutal, secret war between Heather and Dani, with Andre caught completely blindly in the middle of the crossfire, is the absolute peak of dramatic television tension. The emotional stakes have literally never been higher for these characters. The deep betrayal, the terrifying obsession, the desperate, clawing need for control, it is all rapidly converging into this massive, unavoidable, catastrophic collision. I am constantly doubting my own crazy theories, but one thing is absolutely, unequivocally certain. The landscape of Fairmont Crest is never going to be the same after this. The toxic fallout from this Paris revelation is going to shatter these characters to their absolute core, breaking them down to nothing. And I am sitting here, fully invested, ready for every single agonizing, heartbreaking second of the fallout.